Tesla absolutely crushed its latest earnings call, giving birth to one of the best quarters of Tesla in recent history. Every single thing we wanted to hear from this company finally happened. And every single bear thesis that was still out there has now been evaporated because of what we've seen and heard in this earnings call. And we have to talk about the bigger picture here. I'm not gonna bore you with the little tiny minutia details, every little number, the EBITDA, the adjusted EBITDA. That's horse baloney. Now for me, one of the most important takeaways from this call wasn't the numbers, which we'll talk about in a second. I'll give you all the bottom lines of every single metric, I promise. But I want us to focus on what's important. One of the biggest growth engines for Tesla is going to be the Cybercab, the robotaxi, whatever you want to call it. Now, one of the biggest gripes people had with Tesla is that during the recent event, there were no timelines given and everything was kind of up in the air. Now, in this call, Elon said something incredible and a lot better than most people expected, including some bulls, saying that Tesla is going to hit volume production on Cybercabs by 2026. That is incredible. We're not talking the beginning of production. We're talking about volume production by 2026. It is insane. It means that Tesla is further ahead than most people thought. Now, he also talks about 20 to 30% increase in volume as far as sales next year, automotive sales. And he basically says, look, it's going to happen, one, because we're going to introduce cheaper models, cheaper options, and number two, because FSD is going to ramp up and sell even more. And it wasn't just the future and the guidance. It also was the actual numbers we saw. Earnings per share beat estimates by 25%. The energy sector grew 50% again, 2.4 billion right now. You can't ignore it. Services, as far as automotive services, out of warranty, up 30%. Now look, I'm going to be honest with you, the 8% revenue growth was not amazing. Yes, it is underwhelming, especially if you're looking at Tesla as a growth company. I get it. But this 8% is just a temporary snag. I think that once the new growth engines of Tesla will be presented and deployed, this 8% is going to grow to the 20-30% like Elon said. And as you notice, the market actually believes him because the stock is up 12%. Nobody's paying attention to the fact that the revenue growth was only 8% because everybody's focused about what's coming next. Now, as it stands already, Cybertruck is actually selling a lot better than people thought. The top 3 EVs in America right now is the Model 3, Model Y, and the Cybertruck. And if you look at the net income of Tesla, 2.5 billion per quarter right now, it is absolutely insane where this company has come from and where it's at right now. Now, operating margin went up from 6% to 10%, which is absolutely incredible. And if you talk about energy, which we talked about earlier, deployments are actually up 75%. So that 50% growth is just the beginning. And on top of it, we have $34 billion of cash with virtually no debt. And for Tesla, which manufactures vehicles, by the way, to be completely unleveraged and so cash heavy, it's absolutely insane how good the balance sheet looks. Now, I think we can all safely say that the normal rational people who had doubts about Tesla can now put these doubts to rest. Certain people will never give up. It might be ego. It might be just, they love the pain. Certain people will continue to bet against Tesla. But rational, normal investors that don't have an emotional attachment to this topic, after this quarter, I think we can say rest in peace, all the bears, all the haters. Tesla is a lot further ahead than even some of the bulls thought. Now, you're not even in the beginning of the growth cycle of Tesla. The next S-curve for Tesla has not even started yet. Think about what Tesla is going to look like when these growth engines will be deployed. Think about FSD licensing. Right now, Tesla is kind of testing the waters with FSD. But imagine what happens once the floodgates will be open. Once other OEMs that don't have anything close to autonomous driving right now, they'll have to buy Tesla software because nobody else is even close. Once Tesla becomes the primary monopoly of full self-driving of every other auto manufacturer around the world, once full self-driving becomes the standard in all vehicles like power steering, and Tesla is the only one with the code, that's going to be a whole different ballgame. On top of it, we have robotics, which we've not even mentioned in today's video. We have the robotaxi business that God knows how much money it's going to produce for Tesla. We have the energy basically growing at insane paces and completely under the radar. And you know what's going to happen next? A lot of the sell-side analysts that have been telling you that Tesla is a horrible company for the past 6 months, they're going to put out updated price targets, elevated price targets, telling you how great Tesla is. You have to remember, for the most part, not everyone, but for the most part, sell-side analysts, they're kind of a weatherman. They'll tell you what the street is thinking. They're never going to give you an edge ahead of time on a company like Tesla. Now look, when I started investing in Tesla 5 years ago, and by the way, that investment was very kind to me, despite all the turbulence, despite all the stock price swings, the stock is up about 900% in 5 years. Now 5 years ago, when we imagined what Tesla will be in 2025, we haven't thought about this. What Tesla is today is light years ahead of what I thought back in 2019. And this is why Tesla has always served like a great transfer of wealth mechanism from the impatient traders to the patient long-term investors like me who don't sell unless the thesis about the company gets destroyed. And Tesla, as I'll show you in a second, has done nothing but improve the thesis of the past 5 years. So according to the Stock MVP scorecard, and by the way, Stock MVP is a software I've built for you guys to break down, analyze, and look at stocks like a professional. It's available at stock-mvp.com. Use the code LAST40 for 40% off until the end of the month. Then that code goes away. So Stock MVP scorecard says that this is 85 out of 100, one of the highest scores we have seen on the platform. If you break it down piece by piece, it absolutely blows you away how much better Tesla has become over the past 3 years while people are telling you it's a horrible company. Revenue 3 years ago was 31. It's now 96 billion. Net margin is now 13%, which is incredible if you consider that Tesla literally makes cars. Cash 3 years ago was 19 billion. It's now 30 billion. It has twice more assets than liabilities. It has way more cash than debt, and it actually got better over the past 3 years. The short interest is below 3%. Institutional investors are not betting against this company. And talking about institutional shareholders, right now Tesla is about 46% of institutional shareholding. Now, once they cross 50%, that score goes up to 90 or 95, I'm not sure. But the thing is, Tesla institutional shareholding is actually growing while sell-side analysts are taking dumps on the company telling retail to sell. Now, look, revenue is growing a lot faster than operating expenses. And since IPO, the stock has rewarded its shareholders 14,000%. And of course, it loses all the points on PE because at 55 PE, it's higher than 30. Any stock that's higher than 30 gets 0 in the scorecard. It is what it is. So Tesla at 85 is absolutely incredible. And if you dig deep into the numbers, you'll see that it has $95 billion in sales with only $10 billion of operating expenses. A company that can give me 10 times more sales than operating expenses, selling vehicles. It is absolutely mind-blowing. Don't you guys see it? Net income was $2.5 billion just 3 years ago. It's currently $12.5 billion. It's getting better. It's getting more efficient. Tesla, over the past 3 years, have improved every single metric, but the stock has been basically going sideways while sell-side analysts and so-called experts were telling you that Tesla is over. When I see a company where the share price goes woo or even down while the business is shooting up, I know it's my time to buy. It's very, very simple. Now, obviously, I'm not telling you to buy or sell Tesla. It's your decision. I'm just a rambling madman with my own opinions, but obviously doing research. And look, a few weeks ago, I actually posted a video here on this channel saying that Tesla is a lot closer to 400 than people think. $400 per share, that is. And a lot of critics and experts in the comment sections have been very vocal over the past few weeks saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. Look at the share price, Tom, and whatnot and whatnot. Well, after this earnings call, it definitely seems a lot more plausible that I was right than I was wrong. But this is just the beginning of the journey, folks. Whether it hits 400 this year, next year, it doesn't matter. For a long-term investor, the only thing you need to do is to look at the business, look at the strategy, look at who is managing the company, look at where this company is headed. If you believe that this company is going to continue improving the way they have over the past 3 years, over the next 5 years, let's say you assume Tesla over the next 5 years with FSD, with robotics, with robotaxi, generates 40% of revenue growth per year for the next 5 years. Now, that is an ambitious goal, no doubt, but I believe it can do it. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen in a linear fashion, 40% per year for 5 years, but on average, we're going to get about 40% per year for the next 5 years, given the deployment of these new growth engines for Tesla. If that happens, Tesla is a $400 stock today. Simple. That's a simple DCF. So for me, I feel very little risk being in Tesla and adding to my Tesla position at all times because I understand that based on my analysis of the business, it's a $400 stock today, which means that at $200 a pop, It's an opportunity to buy it cheap. Very, very simple. Now, I've explained this concept in our academy multiple times. We don't look at stocks as some sort of a temporary way to get rich. You buy at 20, you sell at 30. Oh my God, you've made so much money. We are trying to hit the jackpot. We want to buy at 20 and sell at 200. Sell at 2,000. We want the big gains. Everybody wants to get rich. Everybody's trying to get rich quick. Most fail. The easiest way to get rich is slow. Investing in great companies like Tesla over the long haul and continuing to dollar cost average into the stock and dollar cost average even harder when the stock drops. So I can guarantee that you can get rich doing this strategy. The only thing you need is to understand that it's going to take time and you're going to get rich slow. And that's a lot of weight to put on somebody's shoulder that wants to get it done this year, tomorrow, this month. There's a reason why get-rich-quick schemes don't work. You can't get rich gambling on stocks like Tesla. It will punish you. It will derail all your plans for the future. It will make you feel very, very small. It will humble you. It has done so for most speculators that try to play the stock. Some get lucky maybe a few times. Most get destroyed. Listen to me. If you want to get rich off the stock market, if you want to get rich off stocks like a Tesla, generational, game-changing companies, the only thing you need to understand is, number one, you need to save more money so you have more money to deploy. Number two, you need to pick good companies, generational winners. And number three, you need to accept a holding period that is 15 to 20 years. As long as you do these three things, the only thing that's left for you is to continuously invest every single month a fixed amount. Now, I've explained in my academy how to do it, how to make sure you always have money to invest, how to make sure you always have extra money to invest if the stock drops 20% below the 52-week high, how to double down, how to make sure that no matter how much money you're making, you always have enough to double down. All this is available in our academy. Patreon.com/Tom Nash. Would love to see you there. As always, thank you so much for spending these few minutes with me. Love you all. See you next one. Peace.